Welcome back to Roadmap, Autotrader UK's product and tech podcast. Today's episode is all about the dark art of delivery. And to help me on this subject, I've got Daniel. Hey, Daniel.
Hey.
I've got Miguel.
Hey.
Hello, Miguel. And last but not least, I've got Ebony, aka Ebs. Hey, Ebs.
Hey, mate.
So, delivery, one of my favourite subjects. Yeah, and you all know why, don't you?
Yeah, because did you used to work in delivery?
I used to work in delivery.
I think I've heard it a few times on the
I know.
pod.
I don't know what happened, but next time it was like you are now not part of delivery.
Oh.
But yeah, I thought it'd be really good to do a little bit of an intro into end-to-end delivery and how like delivery works at Autotrader, and then we can get more into your specific roles because it is pretty broad role. So, Ebs, you want to kick us off with like a little bit of an intro into just what end-to-end delivery is at AT?
Absolutely. So I guess for context, the delivery function, so our role is part of go-to-market tribe. So there's a load to think about when you're talking about end-to-end delivery, and we will be at the forefront of trying to drive the end-to-end delivery. It's anything from ideation and discovery, typically working with dev, design, products, through to taking a product to market. In some scenarios, you are looking at the in-life support, and also, I guess, if we need to take a product out of market, the sunsetting of a product. So it's everything in between. We certainly wouldn't say we do it on our own. We're part of teams that drive the end-to-end process, but we do create the momentum from a delivery perspective.
And where, I mean, specifically probably a question for yourself, Miguel and Daniel, where do you sit currently on that sort of that breadth of role? Are you in particular areas where you work more predominantly, like with P&T teams?
So working with a mix of P&T teams and operational teams as well. So I guess that the rollout end of the process. Yeah,
and where specifically are you at the moment in terms of Autotrader? What things are you working on?
So I'm aligned to Autotrader Connect. So that's our API platform for connecting our systems to retailer systems.
Yep.
So that covers AT Connect stuff, also the AT Connect solution for Deal Builder as well. So allowing retailers to have Deal Builder in their own systems.
So pretty tech heavy.
Yeah.
And what about yourself, Miguel?
I'm aligned with a couple of our internal tools teams, so kind of support and messaging platforms, who do a lot of the support tooling for our support teams to support our customers. That was a lot of time saying the word support.
Support.
I always do this, and there's no other synonym for it. And there's on the kind of internal tools, that sort of stuff. I also do a little bit on a self-serve learning platform that we're working on at the moment for our customers to kind of do the onboarding process online. And then I do work on a couple of the digital retailing teams, but I'll probably hand over to Ebs on digital retailing because she's Mrs. Digital Retailing.
Oh my God.
But really just before we move on to Ebs, so again, are you more, right now your assignment is very much product and tech?
I would say there's a bit of a mix. So on the support and messaging part of things, because I do work with some of the support teams, it's a bit of a blended team. So a lot of it is around managing kind of how that works together, that kind of tech part of things, and the operational side, gathering operational requirements, kind of talking about the problems that they have day to day supporting customers, versus kind of the more tech side, and dev heavy side. Okay,
so Daniel more dev heavy, you're blended into operations. And what about yourself, Ebs?
Just to clear up, I am not Mrs. Digital Retailing, but thanks, Miguel.
That's going to stick, that.
Oh, my God. I do look after digital retailing with a consumer lens. So digital retailing, obviously, is quite large in Autotrader at the moment, but I am focused more on the consumer side of things. So I will work more with product and tech to support some of the consumer journey requirements. So I guess to answer your question, I'd probably be more flexing into product and tech. However, with all our roles, there'll be an operational lens we need to pull across it to make sure we're not just narrowed focus with product and tech.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were talking to some of your colleagues around taking products to market and front of house. Does it feel like the roles you're currently playing are more like the ninja roles, sort of a bit in the background? How would you describe it? You know, if it's not we're getting into the technicalities, but said like, you know, what is it like working in your particular spaces? How would you describe it?
Do you want to
Yeah.
start, Daniel?
Yeah,
You look
I
like
can
you're
go.
ready.
Yeah.
No, Daniel's chomping
I
at the
know.
bit here.
I think he's desperate to go.
No, I think it was. I think for me, it's definitely that kind of behind the scenes, like mechanics, getting things moving, making sure that the right connections are being made and the right people are talking to each other, rather than the kind of being visible all the time.
Yeah.
I think there's one of us has mentioned at one point saying that a lot of the times it's not us, it's enabling other people to kind of perform at that level. So it's around that kind of creating those spaces, making sure that people are talking to each other, making sure that we're moving along, and then it's around everybody taking that initiative. Is about that kind of cross-functional team effort.
Yeah.
It's a bit like working in the shadows.
I definitely wouldn't
Feels
put it
really
like
dark,
that, right?
doesn't it? Like we're creepy. We're not creepy.
Not creepy, but it does. I mean, like, I work closely with Daniel.
Yes.
I mean, like we do a lot, but it does feel like, we've got it's very front and center platform at the moment with the strategy, and there's a lot of like broadcast we're doing through products, and Dale who looks after that. But you can see in the background, like I'd say, Daniel is that moving things around where it is that ninja type moves where it's very quiet. You won't necessarily know that those things are happening, but they're absolutely crucial for moving us forward.
Yeah.
Whether it be, getting the reporting together, making sure that we're getting the right data to the right people at the right time, or funneling questions from like our leadership team and going, actually these questions are coming all from over here, rather than us answering it 3 times, let's answer it 1 time, which to me is that like, I don't know why. I've just got this picture of Daniel in like a little ninja suit.
Well, I think.
Oh, Jesus.
What delivery did you work on?
GCHQ.
Oh, jeez. I do think we do a bit of this, like to your point, Pete, we are working in the background to make sure that all the right people know all the relevant information. We're not always front and centre. We're not like an SME in products. We're not an SME in the tech. We're working to coordinate with some really skilled people within Auto Trader, and the role we play is to create the momentum, but to make sure it's connecting to the bigger picture with Auto Trader. So we're not always like, look at us, but in the background we're kind of tunneling away, trying to make sure we're doing things in the right way and we're connecting the right people, creating that momentum and making sure we're taking those things to market.
But there is other roles though in other delivery leads in the function that are much more front of house and running like big like broadcast sessions as well. So that is part of the wider role, but right now it's more you particular 3 is more background currently, is it?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I think there will be other people within our delivery team that will take more of a front and centre approach. They may not necessarily be aligned with the product lead that might take more accountability or might be working on a tech-based initiative. So, yeah, you are right. I think we will, whilst we will find forums that we make sure that we are front and centre in, we'll be doing most of the background work.
Yeah. And is that something where when you think about, again, your careers, you delivery leads as a function, where is there a set of like really core skills that you all share, and then there's specialisms that you all have as well? I mean, like, again, picking on Daniel because we work together is you've now
But you're glad you came on the pod.
well, now you've got like a deep understanding of the platform that is starting to develop a specialism and understanding. But what are the core shared skills? You said everybody in delivery, these are absolutely critical things that we have. You might have different views on that.
For me, I think it's communication, and it's being able to take a message or something and dissect it down into manageable chunks that people can understand. Like you said then about the platform space, even if it's still a really complicated space, there's loads going on. But by being able to like dissect the right information that people need at the right level is probably something that we probably all do in our work streams.
Yeah, I think being curious as well, like not just asking a question for question's sake, but for understanding. To Daniel's point there, our job is to try to simplify some of the things we're doing as a business and to understand how they connect up to the bigger picture. So if we don't have good context, we might not have the right people in the room, we might not be making the right decisions. So there is something about having curiosity in the role, and playing that role of you're quite impartial, you're not invested in the problem or the solution, you're invested in what we're trying to do and how is that going to impact and like the customer base or the consumer wherever we're working.
Yeah.
So there is something about the curiosity I think is quite key to the role that we play.
Also, that really resonated with me, where we have our heads out of it a little bit, and
Yeah.
then we can kind of come in and try and really understand the crux of it, and be a little bit impartial, and then try and distill all that information and position it in a way that's a little bit easier to understand, perhaps to somebody who is not as product and tech heavy, not as into the detail as a
Yeah.
lot of our teams are
Yeah.
that we work with.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And how, because I am because I'm not part of delivery. I'm not even in like, I was hoping we'd have some sort of
There's no alumni, so
Yeah.
Pete. Yeah.
it's like, do I get invited to like the social stuff? No, absolutely not. But is there, I mean, back in the day, back when I joined, like delivery leads were very individual in their areas. The collaboration between delivery leads was minimal because we were all individual in our areas. How was it as a function? So probably starting with yourself three, because you work closely together. How do you collaborate, and then how do you take that collaboration back into wider delivery, where you may be then working with other delivery leads who are more might be more in the go-to-market space, where you're influencing with the P&T teams things that they may be doing? How does that internal delivery collaboration work?
We do quite a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was in the olden days.
The
We collaborate.
the olden
We're
days.
olden days.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The-
we
the
do.
good old days.
Yeah, sorry. We do collaborate quite a lot, actually. We actively make the decision to connect because where the way that the delivery community is set up is we're strategically placed against the business key objectives. So there'll be a team of people on digital retailing, marketplace, and in platform. And those communities get together and talk through what's happening and try to see whether there's overlap, whether there's like an opportunity to build some efficiencies in. So we do that. So I'll speak from a digital retailing perspective. We have like a deep dive into digital retailing, what's happening on like a now and next sort of scale. We'll look at how we support one another if we're coming up against challenges in the business. So whether that be timings, whether that be messaging, whether that be working with like specific teams and trying to get time and an understanding of the work that we're doing. So we do support each other quite a bit. And obviously from a delivery perspective, broader than just dividing ourselves into three, we connect up once every couple of months and we look at like the full roadmap of activity for the business and understand where the emphasis in, are we focusing on the wildly important? Because that's something we have to do. We have to cut through some of the noise sometimes and make sure we're focusing on the right things. So I'd say we connect quite a bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, you also do Delivery Academy, don't you?
Yeah, so we use that as a nice plug there. we
You're
use that
welcome.
as an opportunity for like things that are coming up in our separate delivery lives to try and like share with the group. That'd be like hints and tips or software we're using, or even just like sharing a particular challenge and how we overcame it. So that's been really useful. And obviously because we use so many different tools across the business, that's often a focus of it. But that's a good way to connect as well, because obviously sometimes with that comes people will give an example or context, and then it triggers, and you're like, oh yeah, that resonates with me as well.
And have you found, Miguel, because you're one of our more recent hires, that like these join ups, Delivery Academy, have they benefited you getting embedded really quickly?
Oh yeah, 100%. And like I also the one thing I was going to say is everybody's dead approachable. So I think there's been so many situations where I've just linked up with some of the delivery teams colleagues, like just to say, I've got this problem, what do you think? Because people do have specialisms, but in terms of those kind of sessions that do kind of share the knowledge quite a bit, they're fantastic to kind of embed people in the team, and there's a lot of recordings as well. So I found myself, the first kind of few weeks at Auto Trader just watching back all the recordings of the ones that have already been done, learning about a lot of products kind of in that way in my own time, rather than actively asking lots of questions, which I was doing alongside that. It was great.
Yeah.
It's a good point that Miguel makes. There's a lot of experience in the delivery function. Like there's a lot of people, whilst we're probably quite new to Auto Trader, there are people that have been in Auto Trader for 20 odd years.
Hundreds
of years. So I do think there's a lot of experience, and with experience obviously they'll know a lot of people and they'll be able to connect you with the right people. So it is a good opportunity to learn from the past, Pete.
Yeah. And like, it gets all misty now.
Yeah, it does, moody.
I drift back to 2012.
In his ninja suit.
Just about squeeze into it. It's interesting though, because like I know you described is get together, work out where the assignments are, where the gaps are, where the skills are needed. How do you approach though? So because we have always a lot of teams that are always on in terms of tech team, and it might not be that delivery is needed for whatever phase they're in for a particular one, but you may join an existing team, and you may leave an existing team and go on to another team where the need is more. How do you then approach that? Establishing new relationships, you might work with people and working out what's the right fit. Because I'm thinking the right fit when me and Daniel worked together on stock was a very different fit.
Oh yeah,
than what needed
Forgot
for
you did that.
platform. Yeah, we've done loads together.
Guys.
So is there have you got your little black book of things I do to really start to make a difference and know what the recipe is to work with this particular team?
What a great question.
Yeah.
I do have a black book
Yeah.
of things that I need
Of things
to do.
not to do.
Tried, failed. I think the key thing for me, and it will be individual actually, which is why you've asked the question, I assume, but
Yeah.
like for me, like relationships are really important. To understand how to get the most out of a team and to think about connecting with a team, I kind of need to understand how the team is, and on an individual basis as well as what the team's trying to drive towards. So my personality is set that way. I like to make connections with people. I need to understand a little bit about them. So I do that. I rely on relationships to understand how I can make the most impact. So that's really important to me, and I spend a lot of time doing that. But alongside of that, I think the other thing, tried and failed, is not every team's the same. So you can't take a cookie cutter approach to when you are moving teams. It's not like, well, this worked well with the deal builder team, so I'm going to implement it over in the platform space. It isn't like that.
Yeah.
And I do think you have to have a certain amount of emotional intelligence to understand how you have impact and value, because the people you work with will all offer different things. And as a delivery lead, you're not going in to replace somebody. You're going in to add the value and drive momentum. So you have to figure that bit out. It's not a pick this up and shift it
Yeah.
over here.
I think I've realised why I was moved out of delivery then. Emotional intelligence, lack of.
Yeah. Ninja suit didn't fit.
What about yourself, Miguel? Because I mean, again, you've joined recently,
Yeah.
and I've come in and I've had to sort of everyone expects new people to hit the ground running pretty fast.
Yeah.
So, what's your tips and techniques?
So I definitely kind of there's something around like talking to the kind of tech lead of a team. Usually I find really beneficial to kind of get a little bit of a feel for how that team, if it's an established team anyway, what makes them tick, like how they work, what kind of personalities we have in a team. But I'm fairly organic. I definitely don't have a rule book. Like I get in, I kind of work in the space for a couple of weeks and figure out what's what, who's who, what kind of makes the team move or not, what they like and what they dislike, and then over time I build those practices. So it's fairly intuitive for me.
Yeah.
There's like a few things that I'll definitely do, like connect with tech leads, and I might institute kind of some kind of cadence to say every couple of weeks I'll catch up with a tech lead or with some particular people in a stream. But it is kind of, it's definitely organic for me and intuitive.
Yeah. You're super approachable though. Your personality enables some of that as well, and I think I can see that as you start to work with teams. No offense, Dan.
Where's Daniel? No.
I'm joking.
What about yourself, Daniel?
No, rule with an iron fist.
Cookie cutter.
This is the barrel I'm going out.
No, it's similar to Ebbs. I think it's just about like making those, like building those relationships, chatting to people, getting people feeling like comfortable with the group. I think reading the room and reading the team is kind of like essential, right, to what we do, and just kind of work, like everybody's got a different style, trying to understand what might work with different, like the individuals as well as the whole team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is a big, to me, that's one of the big standouts from, like when we talk about delivery, when I look at the previous organisation I was in where it was project managers, and actually you were looked at sometimes more as the figurehead and everything goes through the project manager, and how it feels very different. Like, I'm not saying to other tech organisations, but it is a different role than I played in the past, where it is that bit of, you are not front and centre, and you're not everything goes through you, but trying to find the bits where you can add value, and if something's working really well, not just changing it because you think it'll change. If you're not changing it for the sake of changing it.
Yeah.
Something's humming, just leave it humming, because there's always a problem somewhere else you can go and solve. And has that been, again, probably you've all come from different industries, so I don't know everyone's backgrounds of where they were before Auto Trader, but have you found operating in Auto Trader different than previous organisations, or is this is exactly how it was in your previous role?
I think like the main thing that you mentioned there around like it's very cross-functional at Auto Trader, so like we do empower teams to carry out part of the roles that sometimes would be traditionally considered project management, I guess. Definitely in my background, it was more around you are the figurehead, that you are the project manager, you are the kind of face of the team. You take in all the comms and then distill it down to the team. So there was a little bit of kind of agile cross-functional stuff, but mainly traditional project management feel to it. I come from like agency side, so coming to Auto Trader is a little bit of a different kind of thing, but you get up to speed pretty quickly. People do kind of like help you get your grips and get your bearings is what I'm looking for.
What about yourself, Daniel?
Similar to Miguel, so agency side, where it was probably a little bit more traditional, a bit more top down collaboration, but less of it. I think here, you are like you're working together as one team, and nobody's kind of in charge. It's just, and I think for in the delivery function anyway, it's just about working out how you can best serve that team, rather than having something defined.
Yeah. And your background, you're not going to say your agency as well, are you?
No, I have had a career change actually. So to come to Auto Trader, I used to work in sport. So for about 16 years, I was working in sports management, sports development, in Australia and over here. And
You're from Australia?
Yeah, I just thought I'd drop that in before you got a chance to. So it was a very big shift for me. Great opportunity, but I would say I wasn't bricking it when I came into Auto Trade. I had no experience in this type of industry. However, I did have project management experience previously and there was quite a lot of transferable skills. So I think Auto Trader took a bit of a punt on me, which I'm pleased about. But yeah, very, very different. And I was just really fortunate actually when I started, because I worked in quite a good tribe that had good tech leads and product leads that didn't mind me asking a load of questions. I think there's something about, worked with like Mike Hewitson, with yourself, Pete, with Katie and others that were like comfortable in sharing like what it is that they were doing, how things were set up, the value that delivery could play in that space. And I guess, again, I've learnt from every experience I've had at Auto Trader. But yeah, it was very different for me coming in, having come agency side.
Yeah. You weren't at the same agency, were you?
We were. I wasn't sure whether to call it out. I was like, no, we'll leave it all to mystery. Daniel kind of... I was going to say brought me in. You referred me for the job.
I didn't know. So I knew you two.
Did you not?
No, I knew you two knew each other socially. I know we're going totally off base there. It was like when I found out, Miguel, you were Portuguese. I'm like, you sound like a true Lancastrian.
Don't know what you mean.
No, we used to work together, and we used to work in the same team sometimes.
Yeah.
We loved and hated each other, I think. Probably.
We worked, so my role was kind of hybrid. I was like account manager, project manager, whilst Daniel was more traditional, like just project manager. And that kind of account manager, project manager clash. We mostly loved each other, though, right?
Yeah, most of the time.
That's what I remember. I remember the good times.
I remember the good times too.
Good.
I feel like a third wheel here. This is getting very uncomfortable.
Because I was going to ask around because again, I know I'm going to put my view on this, is I was going to ask about like hints and tips, because I know we've had people transfer into the function and actually getting the head round, like when you joined, getting your head round like just products and tech. Because one of the big things I've been like mentoring one of the delivery leads is you don't need to know everything.
No.
And I think I learned that when I moved into doing network projects from doing like software projects at a consultancy, and I got obsessed with trying to understand what decap and encryptors do. I wasn't the network engineer, but the bit where I just didn't understand the terminology, and then it was that point of going, you need to know enough
Yeah.
but you don't need to know everything because you are not the engineer or you're not the product person.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that is like my golden tip when they're talking to like budding delivery leads. But do you have your like, again, not your black book, but like those core learnings of saying, do you know what, like, don't worry about.
Yeah.
Is there any of those that you could throw out there? Thinking someone's joined Auto Trader tomorrow, whether it be an apprentice, graduate, whatever, a career change, saying these are the things just to not worry about.
I think your advice is good. You can't be an expert at everything, and nor do you need to be. But you need to know the tipping point of what's enough information. That's hard to get right. You need a bit of experience to do that. But that is a good bit of advice.
That's my only tip of that.
Yeah,
I've only got
that's
one.
some good advice.
Got one.
Just because of the breadth of what you need to do. Like, you haven't got the luxury of going deep, nor do you need to, because there's so many great people in Auto Trader. There's BAs, products, tech, all doing really good things. So you need enough context. I think the other thing, what else would you probably need? I think you need to feel comfortable to ask a question. Like, no one in Auto Trader wants to see you fail. I think if you're unsure about something, you can ask. I think that would be a tip for me, because I think there's an expectation sometimes, like you say, a new person hit the ground running. There's going to be things you need to know.
Yeah.
Like, don't put too much pressure on yourself, and know that if you ask a question, 9 times out of 10, you'll get the support that you need. Maybe 10 times out of 10.
There's definitely a lot of questions that I asked at the start that I thought this is going to be a really stupid one, and actually it's turned out to be fairly pertinent questions, and we've driven out some stuff that we didn't know before.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's a good one.
Yeah, similar to Eb, I think. Just ask as many questions as you can, but know what that tipping point of, you don't need to know it all.
Yeah.
But also be confident to challenge, even if you don't know it all, because sometimes you are covering a blind spot that somebody might have, and that's everybody can find that really useful.
Yeah.
I think my other one was probably like, don't forget about the end goal, don't forget what we're driving to, don't forget about the destination, because it's so easy to get lost in the detail and then kind of forget what we're trying to get at, and that can cause a lot of problems. So it's almost like reminding yourself like what the big picture is all the time.
Yeah.
Adding to that as well, so Pete, you probably tried to move
No.
Adding to that as well, though, I think there's
It's a wrap.
Damn it.
I'm joking.
Now I've lost my train of thought. No, I was just going to add to like that kind of not losing sight of the end goal. I think there's a balance between driving, like our role is to drive momentum, but driving it with an ability to understand how the team's performing and not killing them on the way. Like, I think there's yes, we need to keep the end goal in mind, but we do have a bunch of people that we're trying to make sure get there as healthily as possible.
It's managing that, like, we want to hit this deadline, but if we don't hit it, like, we're not going to all like shout at each other. It's
I
like
don't know.
there's like a healthy relationship with everybody kind of contributes, and we kind of say, well, actually we were a little bit delayed because of this and this and this, and everybody's kind of trying their best and is trying to achieve that goal, and trying to manage that and communicate that broadly, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Definitely the other one I was thinking of is the no surprises. Well, I used this on another one we talked about, but it just resonates in my head. Is no one wants a surprise. So if there's again, like you're talking, if things aren't going quite to plan, that shouldn't be a surprise.
Nice.
Yeah. Or if things are tough, it shouldn't be a surprise. It's that, but we're able to do it like objectively and go, actually, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, or we're going to try B and C. But like, if it is going off paced, is that all of a sudden it's not 3 weeks down the line, it's like, surprise!
I think it hooks into what Daniel said, like right up front around what makes a good delivery lead. Like, communication is key. We need to make sure that we're really across what's happening. We need to communicate that as early as possible, no surprises. Keeping that alignment and clarity of where we're up to with a piece of work and how we're delivering against that. Because there's nothing worse than that happening.
Yeah, I've been there.
You lose confidence, right?
Yeah.
I think it's not great.
No. Cool. Well, as it's delivery, we're bang on schedule, which is, not like us. No, I'm only joking. So, listen, cheers for that. I know it's you're super busy and taking time out to come and chill in here and have a brew. But going to let you jump back into digital retailing platform and support.
Sports.
Yeah. So big thanks to Daniel, Ebbs and Miguel for your insights into delivery, and no doubt we'll have further conversations about wider GTM. Thanks again for everyone listening. So remember, please like and subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification button so you never miss an episode, and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Catch you soon.
Thanks, Pete.
Cheers, Pete.
No problem.